Blake, what's up?
Hey Sam, how are you?
Good, man. You reached out to me on that Facebook page was started by a group of Christians, my honor, but they disappeared. So it's good I checked. So I got your
Thank God you
message.
did.
Talk to us. What's your background so people don't know, you
So
know?
yeah, no, look, I come from a modest Jewish background. Um, Mother raised me as a single mother, not
God
very
bless.
religious. Yeah, God bless her for sure. She definitely did the best she can for us. Um, Father wasn't so much part of my life. We were
No,
definitely speaking, but he wasn't so apparent as a father should be.
right.
Um, Now, I definitely believed in my Jewish faith growing up. As I got older, I steered very far away from it. Not because I don't believe in God, just more so I didn't understand it. Um,
Yeah.
Now, I'm married to an Italian. She was Catholic when we first got married. She converted to Christianity. Um, and, just to fast forward into things, up until about 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I didn't really have much connection. And I've just been reading and researching and reading and trying to understand. And I'll just tell you straightforwardly, my heart is definitely leaning towards Christ as being that person that was given to us to lead us and to show us the right examples of how to live and how to achieve righteousness, right? So I don't really need a lot of convincing, Sam. It's not really why I wanted to speak with you. It's
Yeah.
more so just
Oh, yeah.
just to kind of understand. Now I don't know if it's converted to Christianity as Lazarus just wrote. I'm not really
Yeah,
versed
no,
in all
we
this.
have some folks that get trigger happy and get excited. They don't understand. You're learning about Christianity. It's a process for you. So, oh, Catholic Christianity. They make a big deal when not taking into consideration your background and context that you're coming out of a Jewish background and you don't know about the distinction and differences and some of the bad blood level against Catholicism, so they're trigger happy, you see? So they don't take that in consideration, right?
Well, I apologize if I triggered anybody.
No,
I
no, it's
am
not your
I,
fault.
I, I am a little bit ignorant to the knowledge and I'm trying to learn. So I apologize in
No,
advance if
no.
I trigger anybody.
No, I understand your background, but my brothers, sisters who are trigger happy, who are very sensitive because Catholics always get bashed and demonized, say, hey, yeah, are you a Catholic or a Christian? As if Catholics are not Christians, but they're not listening well. They're not listening, saying, wait, this man grew up in a Jewish home, single mother, like I did. Father wasn't around, like my father wasn't around. You don't know much about the differences. All you are just simply repeating what you hear. So they're not being patient. Say it's okay. We're a work in progress, my brother.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So I guess like one of the main questions that I have, Sam,
Yes.
and I'm like begging for the answer, and hopefully someday I'll get the answer,
Yes. What
is
is it?
as a Jewish person, why do we just stop at the Old Testament? Why do we not like believe that Jesus was resurrected and that he's the Messiah with all this proof and evidence leading to that?
Well, remember, don't generalize all Jews because the first believers were Jews, right? I mean, if you look at the New Testament itself, every book of the New Testament is written by a Jew except Luke and Acts. It's written by a Greek. The first believers were Jews. The apostles were Jews. And even to this day, there are, because there's not too many Jews worldwide. I think the number is what, about 18 million?
About that, yeah.
You have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Jews that do believe in Christianity, that do believe in the New Testament. In fact, there are ministries like One for Israel. Let me show you this. I'm going to show you some. So historically, there's always been Jews who believed in Jesus and always been Jews who didn't believe in Jesus. And even today, you have Jews that don't believe in anything. They're atheists. See, people think when you're a Jew, that means you're religious. No, there are a lot of secular Jews. There's even Jews who are Buddhists who are into the New Age,
Okay.
right? I mean, don't take my word for it. Do a search, you'll see Jews who are agnostic, Jews who are atheists. That means they're not religious, or Jews who are Buddhist, or Jews who are into the New Age. But let me get the websites for you. So, and I'll send them to you. So this is One for Israel. This is a ministry started initially, if I remember correctly, by Israeli Jews. And their entire focus is on showing the Jews from the Hebrew scriptures, Jesus is the Messiah, the New Testament is the fulfillment of the Old Covenant, and answering all the objections by the rabbis. And here, these two are Jews. This man here with the hat, he's an Israeli Jew. His name is Golan. I met him, actually. I met both of them at a conference. So let me send you this. And then not only that, you have Jews who are Catholics. There's even a society of Jewish Catholics. So I'm going to show you that as well. But let me just get to the site. Now, I'm going to talk about some of the differences, because why did the Catholics here get a little triggered when they said Catholic to Christian? Because the Catholic Church is constantly getting bashed, demonized, alienated by evangelicals who think the Catholic Church is corrupt, it's pagan, the Pope is the Antichrist. And so they don't consider Catholics Christians. So when they hear someone saying, oh, are you Catholic or Christian, or a Catholic became Christian, that hurts their feelings, because the Catholic Church has been there long before Protestantism, long before evangelicalism. To say then, are you a Catholic or a Christian, is an insult. If you're a Catholic, what are you, a Buddhist? Of course you're a Christian. But nonetheless, let me show you the Society of Hebrew Jewish Catholics. It's on my Facebook page. Let me find it for you. Here it is, right here. Hebrew Association of Hebrew Catholics. They should have a website. This is it. Association of Hebrew Catholics. These are all Jews who became Catholic. So I'm sending you the links in the private chat. If you see, it's in the private chat.
I see it.
So these are not only believers in Jesus Christ, but they became Catholic because they see the Catholic Church is a continuity of temple worship. The way the temple was set up in the Hebrew scriptures, the priesthood, the altar, the sacrifices, that is all found in ancient churches. Now, let me explain what I mean by ancient churches. The oldest churches that go back to the apostles happen to be the Catholic Church, Eastern Orthodox Church, Oriental Orthodox Church, Assyrian Church. These are ancient churches that have been around long before the Protestant Reformation. Evangelicals have only been around for about 100 years, and they come out of the Protestant Reformation, which started in the 1500s. If you look at these ancient churches, if you go to a Catholic church, even an Orthodox church, you're going to see an altar, you're going to see priestly garb, you're going to see incense, and then you're going to see them giving up the cup and the bread, which is the Eucharist, which becomes the body and blood of Christ, all of which is anchored in Old Testament temple worship. In the temple, you had an altar, you had priests and priestly garb, offering up sacrifices, including incense. So you see that the fulfillment of what they call second temple Judaism, because there was a first temple destroyed, then there was a second temple, and then it was destroyed after Christ. The way they worship, a temple, an altar, priests, priestly garbs, and stuff such as incense, is all found in these churches, not in evangelicalism. Evangelicalism lost its connection with the ancient church and its connection to the Old Testament temple worship. Okay. So there are a lot of Jews who are evangelicals, but those who really study church history and Old Testament worship end up realizing that the form of worship found in the Old Testament is fulfilled, realized, consummated, perfected in the way these ancient churches worship, such as the Catholic Church, not in evangelical churches where you go up there and you have almost like a concert going on. That did not exist in the Old Testament temple worship. You didn't have a concert. You didn't have guys up there and, just singing songs like they're in a concert. You had priests, priestly garments, an altar. You had incense. You had candle being lit, sacrifices, all of which carries over into the liturgical worship of Catholics and Orthodox. So this is why you have this website showing you the continuity between temple worship as outlined in the Old Testament and the liturgical worship of the Catholic Church, and why these Jews ended up embracing Catholicism. So I gave you the links right there. I don't know if they have a YouTube channel. I don't know if it's listed. Let me see.
I'll do some research on that. That's not.
Yeah, so right there. So when you say why didn't they accept hundreds of thousands accepted. In fact, they accepted at the time of Christ. In fact, Jesus's first followers were all Jews. They were not Gentiles. So it's not accurate to say, why did they not accept? Just like at the time of Jesus, not all Jews believe the same things. Even to this day, not all Jews believe the same things. Even in religious Judaism, you have ultra-Orthodox Jews, you have Orthodox Jews, you have Reformed Jews, you have conservative Jews. They're all over the map. You even have a group of Jews that reject the oral law, the Talmud. And the way they pronounce the name, I'm going to put it on the screen. I have a hard time pronouncing this. I have a lisp. So Karaite Jews. Karaite Jews, they still exist. One of them is Nehemiah Gordon. They reject the oral law, the Talmud, altogether, and they only go with the Old Testament. They don't accept the Talmud. So even Judaism comes in a variety of flavors. Moreover, if we go back to the time of Christ, and this is all historical facts that you can discover just on the internet. You don't even need to go to a library and look up encyclopedias. You had the Sadducees at the time of Christ, the Pharisees at the time of Christ, and the Essenes. Three prominent groups. Now, the Essenes are believed to be the group that actually left the temple worship, lived in the desert, the Dead Sea, and they're believed to be the ones that actually produce what we call the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in 1947, where they found scrolls in Hebrew as well as in Aramaic in, was it jars? Hidden in caves that are dated before and during the time of Christ. In fact, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, we found the oldest copies of Old Testament books in Hebrew. For example, we found an Isaiah scroll, we found Deuteronomy. Some scrolls were very fragmentary because of wear and tear. Some scrolls were more complete. We have a complete Isaiah scroll written about 100 years before Christ, and it shows you the meticulous accuracy of how the Old Testament is preserved. But the reason I mention that is these scrolls are believed to have been written by the Essenes. When you look at them, they didn't all believe the same thing. For example, the Sadducees did not accept anything beyond the 5 books of Moses. Even to this day, you have a group called the Samaritans. They're actually the Jews that mix in with the nations. If you read the Old Testament, you'll know that the Assyrians, ironically, my ancestors, Assyrian Empire, the Assyrians were allowed to come and attack what's called the Northern Kingdom. Let me give you a little history about your ancestors, Saul in the Old Testament. When Solomon sinned against God and dishonored God, God said, the punishment will be, I'm going to divide Israel into 2 peoples, 2 kingdoms. Southern kingdom, northern kingdom. The southern kingdom, Judah, capital is Jerusalem. God said that kingdom will remain in the line of David. I'll give it to his heirs. The northern kingdom, Samaria, became the capital of Israel. So you had Judah and Israel. They were one, but they divided. The northern kingdom, the kingdom of Israel, 9.5 tribes lived in Israel and were part of the northern kingdom. 2.5 tribes were part of the southern kingdom, Judah, with Jerusalem as the capital. The kings of the southern kingdom were the sons of David. The kings of Israel were renegades. Renegades. Are you with me there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
So in the northern kingdom, God was fed up and disgusted with their paganism and idolatry. So he sent the king of Assyria. You're going to find this in 2 Kings. This is in the Hebrew scriptures, 2 Kings. You read chapter 17. He stirred up the Assyrians to attack the northern kingdom and send them into exile, depopulated the area, moved them out of the land, and then resettled the land by pagan nations, 5 nations. Now, what happened is those 5 nations mixed in with those Israelites, and they created a new breed called the Samaritans. Now, why is that important? Samaritans still exist to this day. They have Jewish blood, but they were what we call half-breeds, to use a derogatory term, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, because the Jews looked down upon them and hated them because of that, because they were not a pure Jewish race. They mixed in with the nations, creating the Samaritans, which means they do have Jewish blood. They are descendants of the Israelites, but they also have the blood of the nations running in their veins. They only follow the 5 books of Moses. They have what's called the Samaritan Pentateuch. Because remember, they're Israelites. So they followed the law of Moses, but when they broke off, and then the 10 tribes, 9.5 to be exact, mixed in with the pagans, creating a new race, Samaritans, they kept the law of Moses. They kept the Torah, but that's all they have, Samaritan Pentateuch. They don't have the rest of the books. Sadducees only accepted 5 books. Pharisees accepted a larger canon, as did the Essenes. So what I'm trying to get at is, Jewish faith has never been monolithic. There has never been one expression of Judaism, even at the time of Christ. You had the Samaritans, you had the Sadducees, you had the Essenes, you had the Pharisees. Even to this day, you have ultra-Orthodox, you have Orthodox, you have conservative, you have Reform, and then you have those Jews who follow Jesus. And even among them, you have some Jews who are evangelicals, some Jews who are Catholics. There's even an Orthodox Jewish priest who became Eastern Orthodox. When I say Orthodox Jewish priest, obviously Orthodox meaning he's a Jewish convert to the Eastern Orthodox Church, and he's an Orthodox priest of the Eastern Orthodox Church. I believe his name is Brother Nathaniel. Let me find it for you. So why? My answer would be, who told you they didn't? But if you expect all of them to believe, that's not possible. The Jews have never always agreed and believed the same things. Even to this day, right? You have those Jews who decry Netanyahu. You have Orthodox Jews who say that Israel is not of God. They've never been in agreement, never been monolithic, right?
Yes, that's what my mother was actually saying.
Yes,
I had a long talk with her this morning regarding that as well. But you know what? I'm going to save that question for after.
So anytime you want to, here we go. Here is Brother Nathaniel. Why I left Judaism. He became an Eastern Orthodox priest. There he is. Let me show it to you. This is him. He's Jewish. Why I left Judaism. I'm going to send it to you. It's in private chat right there. Yeah, feel free to ask me whatever, even if what your mother brings up. Don't worry, I'm not in a rush. So I just sent that to you in private chat. So there he is. So Jews are all over the place, just like Christians are. You have Catholics, you have Eastern Orthodox, you have Oriental Orthodox, you have Syrian Church of these. And in Protestantism, you have Lutherans, you have Anglicans, you have Church of Christ, you have Baptists, and even Baptists, you have independent. When you get 2 Jews, you get 20,000 opinions, right?
Yep.
That's how it works.